Podcast with Tek and Prem.
I've just heard one of the best chants this past day, and it's one of my favorite, and it's new, and I hope y'all learn it, because I'm about to drop it right now. You know what I gotta say to all those people that doubted us, to all those people that counted us out, and to everybody who said that we couldn't get it done? What my man Jay and John just said, fuck you!
It's the Vet Alumni Podcast. I'm Tek, he's Prem, and that's exactly what we're hoping for a week from, next week? A week from today?
2 days from now.
Well, I mean, a parade.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So that's what we're hoping for.
And I wonder, who's going to, in the event that they are victorious.
Who plays the Kelsey role?
Who's going to take the torch on the Kelsey role? If I had to guess, I would say it'd be C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
That would be a good one.
He has that personality.
Or Slay, one of those two.
Yeah, it's probably Slay's last game as an Eagle. He wants to play one more year. I kind of hope that regardless what happens, they bring him back for one more year. Yeah. He has had a phenomenal postseason.
I think he's had a phenomenal year. I mean,
he really
with
has.
The exception of a couple games, but that's every corner. I mean,
he's
had a great year.
Except for Quinyon Mitchell, apparently.
Yeah, I mean,
he had like 3 bad plays.
Yeah, I know. He's been unbelievable. Look, this is it. This is the last football Friday of the year.
It's a Super Bowl football Friday, Tek.
It is.
And we're talking about the Birds taking down the Red Dragon.
Yep.
We slayed a dragon in 48 hours, and all I'm hearing from all these expert ex-player pundits is, oh, well, if you look at the tape from week 4 for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I don't understand it. I don't get
what
that.
is wrong with these
And a lot
people?
of them are ex-players that bring this up. It's like
I like it though.
Andy's going to look at that Bucs game, and it's like, but that doesn't apply here. What are you talking about?
I like it. I think the key to this game, most people are going to say Saquon, most people are going to say Patrick Mahomes or Chris Jones on the Chiefs side, or, oh, it's the big offensive line. No, the real key here is Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on the outside, because it's no secret that the Chiefs are going to sell out to stop the run early. And I would, if I'm Sirianni...
Sometimes that is the way to get beat.
If I'm Sirianni, I'm calling on the first play. I'm calling like a jumbo package with 2 wideouts. Play action, go route. First play of the game.
That's an Andy thing to do, by the way.
First play of the game. And you know what? If it's incomplete, who cares? Because
I hear
you're softening them up right off the jump, saying, listen, it's going to be like this all day if you clog the box. And even with the box clogged up, Saquon can still break runs.
Of course. I mean, you give this guy 18 to 20 touches a game, you're not gonna stop him.
You could just slow him down temporarily.
Yeah, you'll have large stretches within there where you might be able to contain him or box him up, but all you need is 2 or 3 nice ones.
That's the real key though to me, because if you hit one of those early to AJ or Devontae, and Devontae lights up the Chiefs, 110 yards per game in 2 games. If you hit and he's going to home, he's from that area. He's from the New Orleans area. If you letting them early, you hit them early like that, that really is going to play a role in Spagnuolo changing his approach.
I agree. And we'll get ready for the big game with our guy, John Marks.
John Marks hitting the vet line again. What a great guest to have Super Bowl week.
It's perfect.
This is our radio row right here.
It is. Let's get into it now. Keys for the Chiefs defense. We just mentioned stopping Saquon. They haven't given up 100 yards to a rusher in 18 consecutive playoff games.
But they're giving up 148 per game this postseason to teams. Collectively.
To teams, but not to a rusher.
Right, but still, that's still a $148 on the ground. That's a lot of yardage to allow average running teams to get, like Buffalo and Houston.
Well, that was Buffalo's problem. See, Buffalo, it was working, and they stopped doing it.
Cook is a good running back.
Yeah, Cook was cooking them, and they stopped going to him, and it began to be Josh Allen hero ball, and that
Yeah.
fell flat.
Yeah.
It just fell flat.
And even with that said, they still should have been able to win.
They still should have been able to win.
Yeah, I just look at this, and the Chiefs team, I think you're going to see more so in this game, is the team that was up 13-12 at Arrowhead against the Houston Texans with 4 minutes to go. If they play that style of game against the Birds, then they have no chance to win the game.
I agree. Like you said, getting AJ and Devontae going early, that falls into this, let Jalen beat us approach.
Let him do it.
That,
Go ahead, test this dude, because he is focused, man.
We need Jalen to play turnover-free ball.
If he outplays Mahomes again, they win the Super Bowl.
But we need to be plus in the turnover category.
Well, we have been.
Not minus.
We're plus 10 this postseason. I mean, we're plus 10 with no turnovers. That's always the key in any football game, especially a game of this magnitude.
Because that fumble, that haunts his life.
I think Cooper DeJean on his birthday gets a pick.
Really?
Possibly a pick six. Yeah, I do.
That's right. It's his birthday.
You're going to see a lot of DeJean on Kelsey, and I love the matchup.
It's also Saquon's birthday.
I love it. And if you add their ages up, it equals 59.
I didn't know. That's tremendous.
It's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Pretty good stuff.
Last year, 49ers, right? Christian McCaffrey hadn't fumbled all year, and he fumbled in the Super Bowl.
I know. Well, it's because they're playing the Chiefs, and it seems
I
these
don't
things
love
tend
this
to happen.
omen, right? Because it's like Saquon. We haven't seen Saquon do anything like
well,
that.
in our defense, the Niners are also suffering from the Steve Young curse. Steve Young sets a record in the Super Bowl in '96, puts up 49 points, 6 touchdowns, 3 to Ricky Waters, 3 to Jerry Rice, and all the Niners do since then is lose Super Bowls.
Oh.
We at least
that is horrendous.
Since that Steve Young Super Bowl, though, Tech, we have been to 4 with our chance to win 2. But I hear you. That's a rough omen.
I don't love that. I didn't when I heard that I said, "Oh no." I mean, what if Saquon puts it on the ground?
Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely.
I'm not banking on that.
Yeah.
But the key for this Eagles defense now, they have to contain Travis Kelce.
Yeah, that's a huge weapon, right? That's probably the primary weapon. I like Worthy too. Worthy's he's a sneaky speedster.
He is, but I'm sure they looked at this film and saw the way Zach Ertz was cooking.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yo,
that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing."
Yeah, I mean, I think that you probably have to bracket him most plays and go one-on-one against Juju, which you can do. Go one-on-one with Worthy, which I think you could do. And then you got D. Hopkins as well, which I think you'll see Slay on Hopkins when he's on the field.
Hopkins is like the 4th guy, isn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
I think Schuster's in the slot now.
Yeah.
No, it's Worthy's in the slot. I think Schuster's the other guy on the outside.
Yeah, right. They have an average group of receivers.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, right, if you look at that film of Ertz, I don't think the Eagles' defensive game plan was all about Ertz.
It's different when you're going up a guy like that going into that game.
The game plan is going to be for Kelsey this
I've been
time
saying
around.
this all week, and I believe this. Jaden Daniels in that championship game came in playing better football than Patrick Mahomes is playing right now.
You're right.
I truly feel that. I know it's crazy. People, you're crazy. Mahomes is Super Bowl champion, Superman.
No, I thought Jaden Daniels was the best quarterback left in the field. When there was 4 teams left, I thought Jaden Daniels was the best one at that moment. He was playing
the best ball, and they just held him to 23 points and forced his guys to turn it over a bunch. I don't know. I think they also have better skill players in Washington. I would take Terry McLaurin over any receiver that the Chiefs have.
You're right about that. Yeah.
I would take Brian Robinson as a good running back. He didn't get much burn, obviously, but I would take him over any running back that the Chiefs have too.
No, Pacheco, he's going to get going.
He's sneaky good. He's
not going to do what he did 2 years ago. He was unstoppable in the second half.
No, that's not going to happen. Our front is way better, obviously, when you're talking about Bond. And Burks has been playing good football, man.
Yeah.
He was on the Niners. I think he played in the Super Bowl with the Niners.
Yes.
Or in Burks.
And he had a terrible game.
Yeah. Well, that's another chance for redemption. This is a big-time redemption story. I look at this like Rocky IV. I mean, you got Rocky going to Russia to take down Drago. The Chiefs are Drago.
I totally see it that
way. That's really what it feels like to me.
Right. Listen, I agree with you. Mentioned Xavier Worthy. That's going to be Cooper DeJean matching up against him.
You think so? Because I think they're going to have Coop kind of shadowing Kelsey a bit. bracketed with CJ, GJ. You put CJ, GJ, and Coop on Kelsey, you're probably taking him out the game.
But then you're leaving receivers open.
Right,
to
but
eat
you got to pick your poison with Mahomes.
You
and
do.
if you're taking away option number one on almost every play, because most of these plays are drawn up first looks Kelsey.
Yes.
Just because of who he is.
I saw some crazy stat. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like the most pressures by a defensive line without causing a pressure. It was like, I didn't understand it, but apparently they were saying the Eagles' defensive line gets more. They're the top of the league at getting pressures without.
Like, it's like getting him off his spot.
Yeah.
It's like that
without it being like a pressure. They create pressure.
Right, I know what you mean. Something else to think about, too. The Chiefs, their defense, they allow 4.5 per rush this season on inside zone runs. They don't stop the inside zone run, and that's what we do.
That's what we do.
So, yeah, sure. Are they going to sell out, stopping Saquon? Right. Are they going to tell everybody at Media Day and Radio Row, you Chiefs are they're going to load up to stop Saquon? You don't think that every other team that we've played with better fronts, the Packers have a better front, in my opinion, than the Chiefs do, especially at linebacker. Do you don't think all these teams came in saying that?
No, they
have
all did.
any of them been able to do it?
No.
It's a lot of, you know what I like to call it, Tech? I like to call it bunkum. It's a lot of bunkum going on down there.
It is. Listen, this last week, and even last week, but this week with the media frenzy in New Orleans, with all the national people, and they're all giving their I think ESPN, the Get Up show.
It's ridiculous.
Everybody picked the Chiefs.
That's fine with me.
That's
actually
fine with me.
I'm glad there wasn't
I
one.
actually prefer it.
Yeah, you know what? They're absorbed in the aura, and when you look at the teams and the way these teams play this year, the Birds are the only team in football built to beat them.
I believe that.
We really are defensively.
It's something about them. It's just. To me, they weren't even like by record. Okay, by record, right? They were like the best team in football. But like when I watch them play,
it's nothing special.
They're not right.
Not this year. Not this year.
Right.
Now, conversely, I don't know if you knew this, Tech. NFL's been around since like 1920, 1922, something like that.
Right.
So there have been, say 102 seasons. Initially, there wasn't a lot of teams. So say you have an average of 20 teams for 100 years. When you look at the early years, would maybe 8 teams, and then now with 30 teams. So 100 years times 20 teams, that's like 2,000 opportunities for a team to rush for yards, give or take, right? 2,500 opportunities for a team to rush for yards in a season. This season, the Eagles have 3,731 yards as a team, postseason and regular season combined. That's the most in 102 years of football.
Really?
Ever. This is the top rushing attack that the National Football League has ever seen. That even goes back to the days when mostly teams just ran. The 1940 Bears were probably one of the best rushing teams of all time.
This is outrageous.
The 1960s Packers teams. Now, you could say, oh, well, they only played 12 or 14 games back then. So, if you have to kind of prorate it, even when you do that, their average is the best in all time.
You're bringing me to another point that I was going to bring up. And it goes back to something I spoke about before the Commanders game. The football gods, okay? All this talk about this team has a chance to be a three-peat, the first team to ever do it, the greatest team. I look at this Chiefs team, and Grant, I know Andy Reid, Hall of Fame coach, Pat Mahomes, Hall of Fame quarterback, Travis Kelce, Hall of Fame tight end.
Right, stacked.
I look at what they got. I look at who they are. But I just don't know. Looking at that Steel Curtain team, Steel Curtain, they didn't three-peat. The Joe Montana Niners, they didn't three-peat.
The Cowboys in the 90s.
Yes, the Cowboys in the 90s, the Cowboys before, the 70s or whatever.
Right.
You're talking about the greatest NFL teams ever assembled.
Yeah,
Never did it.
The Broncos in the late 90s.
Right. The Patriots.
Yeah.
They didn't three-peat.
Well, we stopped their three-peat.
Right, we stopped their
unknowingly because it was the middle one of the three.
Right.
But, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's something about the football gods. Are they going to allow the Chiefs to do this to be the team that's considered the best team ever in NFL history? Because
I think
that's what it would be if they win this game.
They're going up against an immovable force, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. We're just an immovable force this year. And not only that, Zach, this is going to make you feel pretty confident. The Eagles on turf this season. defense.
I saw the synthetic turf, yes.
5-0.
Whew.
11.6 points allowed per game.
Okay.
3.7 yards allowed per play. 211 total yards allowed per game. That's against the Rams, the Bengals, the Saints when they were coming off of 47 to 45-point wins.
Yes.
This team is built for speed because they're so young. And this specific turf on this field in New Orleans is like the performance edition. It's like meant for faster play. Not only that, you got a bunch of SEC guys going back to SEC land. Georgia guys that have won national championships. Alabama guys that have won national championships in the SEC. This is the headquarters of the SEC, LSU.
Yeah.
So I look at all these different things and all these factors, and not on top of that, we're holding opposing quarterbacks to a rating of 74. Love, Stafford, and Daniels. The Chiefs' defense is allowing a rating of 100.3 against them this year. Our defense is playing noticeably better when you look at the efficiency ratings.
Yeah.
Now, they held Stroud to a bunch of field goals. That's why they won that game. Because the Texans were in position to win that game the whole first half.
Texas just didn't have great offense. And by the way,
They don't have Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and the refs. You know,
That was more egregious than the Bills game.
And you know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of people acting like it don't exist.
It's crazy.
It's like, yo, are you trying to tell me that the refs don't have preferential treatment towards Pat Mahomes? And when it's late in the game, if there might be a phantom holding call in the last sequence of a game against the opposing team's offense.
It's like when AI was driving, right? He would get the calls.
He would get
Jordan was driving. He'd get the calls.
It's the Jordan rules from Mahomes.
All the greats kind of get that.
And the Chiefs, but Mahomes.
Know what else really told me that there's something to it? The fact that the league even spoke about it.
Yeah, the fact that
you're supposed to just ignore that.
Yeah, they shouldn't acknowledge it.
You don't even acknowledge. You don't say anything like that. They're finding themselves
having to defend it.
Yeah, that's to me. If it's almost like a preemptive pardon. If you did nothing wrong, what do you need a pardon going back 10 years for?
Right.
It's the same kind of thing, in my opinion.
The Chiefs fans, they're crying the other way. Oh, it was done against us for years. There's no bias. And they go back to that Patriots game where Tom Brady beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and the refs made some really terrible call that was advantage Brady.
Yeah.
But you got to look at the circumstances. Brady was Mahomes before Mahomes.
Right.
They were the dynasty.
Right. But I think this Super Bowl could look a little bit like that Tampa KC Super Bowl looked a few years ago. And one more tidbit, and it was 31-9 Tampa. One more tidbit. The Birds have never lost a Super Bowl when Carson Wentz is on the bench.
You know what? I heard this, and I thought that was hilarious.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. It's meaningless. I just like it's Super Bowl week. You have fun with the tidbits. You have fun with the numbers. And Jalen Hurts is now about to join Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Big Ben, and Russell Wilson is the only QBs to start multiple Super Bowls before 27 years old.
Woo!
That's crazy, man.
I love that.
It's phenomenal.
This is looking more and more like it will be Kellen Moore's last game as the Eagles OC.
It does, yeah.
He's set to become the Saints head coach after the Super Bowl. Kevin Patullo will take over next year.
You think so?
That's what it's looking more and more like.
So?
Yeah, I mean, from everybody,
I think it's TBD still, but it could be.
I think it's going to be Kevin Patullo because Kevin Patullo's job description from, I believe, if it was John McMullen or somebody described Patullo's job description as half head coach, half offensive coordinator right now. He is the one that is in between Kellen Moore and Sirianni in everything.
Right. So you wouldn't have to change the system necessarily. No. It's almost like handing the book down.
And I heard
That's
the idea of Frank Reich, and I love that idea. But here's the thing:
him and Sirianni have history.
Well, yeah, they're
homies.
really great
they're
friends.
They're tight.
Here's the problem with that from me. The one issue I have is that it disrupts continuity. It's not like Frank Reich was with this team when we won the Super Bowl or when we went to the Super Bowl in 22. He was with the previous regime.
Yeah.
So I would like to see Jalen Hurts for once in his career enter a season with continuity.
With the same system. Yeah, he hasn't really had that. And one more first for you, Tek. In the history of the Super Bowl, going back to 1966 or whatever it is, this is the first time ever that a team has reached the Super Bowl without committing one turnover on the way. It's never happened.
I don't love that. I don't love it.
You don't love that?
I don't love it.
I mean, what it tells you is they're protecting the ball better than any conference champion ever has.
It's like on the opposite spectrum, them saying, well, the Chiefs haven't given up 100 yards to a rusher in 18 ball. I love that. Because that's about to change. So when you tell me that, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, but
you're telling me something that might change.
The difference is, just like I went a second ago and I said there have been, 2,500 attempts for teams to rush the ball in season, 2,500 seasons or whatever it is. If you add up all the years of football, all the teams, give or take, and Saquon is top 9.
Unbelievable.
Of all those potential running backs, taking the ball as a starting running back. Let's go. Let's get as many yards as I can. Top 9 in the history, 100+ years of football.
I honestly, I gotta tell you, that first play of the game for the Eagles, it was 3-0. They worked so hard. The Commanders worked so hard.
I know.
To get all the way down.
I know.
Just to not go for it, you go for it, fourth down, get it. Go for it, fourth down, get it. Then you get an easy fourth down here, you're going to get it, and you decide we're going to take the point.
Yeah, because I think he was thinking
safe.
we don't want to come away with nothing at that point, and it's a short kick.
The Eagles come out, I got to tell you, that first play to Saquon, watching Saquon do that play and hearing, as soon as he spins out, and you hear Brady in the background go, oh!
Yeah.
I have never seen, in my lifetime, a guy with an Eagles jersey and helmet on look like this guy.
No, I mean, the closest you can get is you say, maybe Ricky Waters at his peak, Brian Westbrook at his peak. That's the closest you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen McCoy do things that looked unbelievable.
McCoy was great, too, but for me, Ricky Waters was more explosive than any of them.
I liked Waters. Westbrook was probably my favorite.
Yeah, me too. Westbrook was my favorite,
Westbrook goes down as one of my favorite Eagles ever. But, I have never seen anything like this guy. And as I'm watching it in real time, the play is developing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
And my thought as I'm seeing it is, I've never seen anything like this guy.
No, and that's really what...
Unbelievable.
That's not being underscored enough when everyone's talking about this game. Everyone's talking like it's just going to be easy for them to go out there and stop a locomotive that is on a runaway track. Because that's kind of like what this run game is. It's almost like if you're trying to stop a train with, the brakes on the track.
And everybody's putting the emphasis on Saquon. It's like, well, look, if to stop Saquon, you're going to have to shut down the O-line. And I just don't know if anybody can effectively, at least for the entirety of a game.
Right.
You can go long stretches between maybe the top of the second quarter to the end of the third quarter. You can go long stretches in that meat of the game where you do kind of contain the O-line.
Curtail it a little bit, right.
And put Saquon
but not
in a
for
box.
60 minutes.
You're not doing it
They're
for a full
undersized
game.
up front. They're undersized up front. I mean, Chris Jones is a pass rush monster. But the truth is, they're undersized up front, and they allow 4.5 a carry on the interior runs, and now they're going up against the top rushing unit in the history of football.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that to me, it's that simple of an equation. These guys, no matter what they're scheming or want to do, it's a body on a body at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we have the most running back machine probably since AP.
It's unbelievable.
Even AP wasn't this good.
Listen, I don't think so. I look at Saquon and I'm like, man, it's the only look.
You got to go back to Barry.
Yeah, and even when I sat the other day and I watched a half-hour video on YouTube of Barry Sanders highlights.
I know.
And
phenomenal.
Barry had great runs. But, Barry didn't always take it to the house. Saquon, takes it to the house every time.
It's the most 60-plus yard touchdown runs in the history of football by 3 runs.
Barry took a play. He got boxed out. He lost, 15 yards initially. And, he works his way back
to get 10,
the first down.
To get 10. Did you know that Saquon, with 3 60-plus yard runs in the postseason, just this postseason, has the most in the postseason in the history of football? There's nobody with more 60-plus yard touchdown runs in the playoffs ever.
And the funny thing is,
he did it in one postseason.
When you say it, and I was watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, I've never seen this before. So, and like, not just in terms, of course, I've never seen it before with the Eagles.
Right.
But like,
Just in
I've
general.
never seen this before.
You have to go back to Jim Brown type days.
So when you say it's never been done, those three, the two that he ripped against the Rams, and then with the way he ripped it against the Commanders, it's like when you say, "Well, that's never happened before." It's like I didn't think I've ever seen it.
You
before.
know, with that said, I was saying a minute ago, just hit them with the play action deep on the first play. I almost want to just scrap that and just say, you know what? Just show them right out the gate, you're not stopping this run, and do the same first play to pitch. Just go to the right instead of the left with the pitch, with the fake, the fake jet sweep with either Goddard or Devontae. Bring him in, boom, fake, bang, give him the pitch, and just let him get on the edge in the first play too, because they still block on the outside. AJ's a good blocking receiver. They'll pull one of the guards. They'll pull Mailata. I just don't see how the Chiefs are going to have the body power to stop this locomotive. And that's what this game comes down to, because our defense is superior as well. So, like you said, the refs are the only real key here, because phantom holding calls could pop up on any and every play.
And I just, I just look at these two teams, and I'm like, I'm not just saying it. I am as objective as it gets when it comes to these type of situations. I am critical of our players all year long.
You think so?
I'm critical of Jalen. I'm critical. I called for Nick Sirianni to be fired.
You called for Jalen to not be the guy.
I did.
Point.
Yes,
but
I did.
You obviously walked that back now.
Yeah, I walked that back.
It was in the moment. You were just frustrated.
I was thinking they got to draft a quarterback.
Yeah,
but no lower than the second round.
He's clearly around for the next 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah. At this point, you got to give him that.
Well, he wins.
He wins.
You can't ignore wins.
He's a winner.
We talked about it last week. The stats are one thing, guys that do quarterback things. I get that, okay?
Right, but they don't always win.
Right.
Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen.
How about Josh Allen puts up 350 yards passing with 3 touchdowns, and guess what? If Jalen Hurts throws 100 yards and gets 2 touchdowns, and one of them was rushing touchdown, then you know what? Did we win the game?
We won the game. Here's something for you. So I'll go Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and give me one more. I don't know, Jordan Love. They've all combined, they've been to 1 Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, too.
Yeah, you're right.
I just love doing this. And now, when he hoists that Lombardi on Sunday night, what a moment that's going to be.
When he hoists.
When he hoists that Lombardi, because I don't believe he's going to let them lose the game. I think when it comes down to it, Jalen will not let them lose
objectively speaking, the Eagles are the better team here.
When he raises
They're
that trophy.
at least a touchdown better, I think.
Yeah, I agree. 7 to 10 points. 4 seasons, 2 conference championships, 1 Super Bowl title, and the best rushing attack in the history of football. What more do we have to see from this guy to give him his flowers?
You're right.
I'm kind of tired of it.
I'm tired of it too.
And even if he wins, you know what it'll be? Oh, well, without Saquon and that defense, they wouldn't win. Yeah, look at every great team in the history of football. The Niners had Jerry Rice, the greatest single player in the history of the game.
Yeah.
The Broncos had TD, record-setting rusher just broke by Saquon Barkley. The Cowboys had Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, a shutdown defense.
Yeah.
And Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
The Steelers had a great defense, and Terry Bradshaw didn't have to do really that much most of the time, and Franco Harris. All of these great teams. The Patriots, they were winning Super Bowls with field goals, and Brady was barely getting them by because they had a lot of role players.
You're right.
Every great team is a team. It isn't just one great quarterback that goes and does it. Sure, can you say maybe that happened when Namath won with the Jets? Maybe that's the only time the teams won a Super Bowl where the quarterback willed them to win it and they had nothing much else going on. That's probably it.
You're right.
I mean, Trent Dilfer won a ring.
Yeah, and so did, what was the guy's name? The other Buccaneers guy I always bring up.
Brad Johnson?
Yeah!
Unbelievable.
I'm telling you, certain guys.
But Jalen is better than those guys. Mark Rippon, Doug Williams. Jalen's better than all those guys, and he has the all-time running back and the top-ranked defense.
Neil O'Donnell, for God's sake.
Well, he threw an interception to end the game, and the Cowboys won that one, but he still made it to 1.
Yeah.
Man, oh, man.
Listen, you're absolutely right. We got Johnny Marks coming up on the vet line. Couple
Fly
minutes.
Sports.
Yep. Before we do that, there's been a rumor flying around all week, and we just have to address it. Myles Garrett, yes or no for you?
Why not?
If you're gonna have to give up 2 first-round picks.
I think they're in a position with how well they've drafted the last 3 years, 4 years, where they're getting first-round quality out of guys they got in the second and third round. I think it makes sense. Now at this point, if they win this chip, then the Eagles shift to trying to become a dynasty, because then they could be looking to go to their third Super Bowl in 4 years and their second win if they get this one next year.
Here's what I'm all for it, right? But here's what I would counter with. You came up, you had to completely rebuild your defense.
Yeah, and did it in 1 year.
And you really did it.
One season.
Through some, buying low in free agency and the draft.
Right. Yeah.
The last 2 drafts.
Solely.
And this past year of really buying low with the exception of bringing CJ back.
Right, but even that is a good signing. It's economical.
Right. But buy low signings like, Zach Bond.
Yeah. Burks you got for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dotson.
Right. So I look at it like, look what you've done with your defense without having to get a Myles Garrett.
I hear you. But it'd be like the Javon Curse move back in the day.
I agree with you. Here's what I would say. That's actually a great
comparison, right?
one. Yes, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
It would be kind of like that.
That's actually really great. Myles Garrett, the pro to it is like, look, guy's a top 5 NFL player.
Right.
He's still in his prime.
28, 29?
Yeah, I think he's 29. He's in
That's
his
fine.
prime.
Give me 2 years with that guy.
This is a guy, once you are in a Super Bowl, first round picks, that's another problem is does Cleveland, they want the 31st or 32nd pick in the draft.
Right.
Which, who knows? But
now, let me time out real quick because you mentioned that. I am really frustrated and annoyed every time I see these mock drafts. The Super Bowl hasn't been played yet. They always got the Eagles
31
at 31.
That's because of record.
Bothers
me.
I
know, me too.
It bothers me because it's based on who wins this game.
Some of these mock drafts only go to 30. But some of the other ones I saw, CBS and a few others, they got us at 31. Yeah, I know.
I was looking at it like, what is going on here? But that's the record. Okay.
But the one thing I was saying, I've been saying for the last month or so, I'm seeing now in some of these mock drafts in this past week, is it's true. The Eagles need this offseason, probably first, is going to be edge rusher. And if it's not edge rusher first, it's offensive tackle first. You're either going tackle first, edge second, or edge first.
Because you think Lane is kind of reaching the end of the road.
Well, I just think you have to start going that direction, even though
Fred Johnson stepped in pretty good when he had to.
Yeah, but
he's not a superstar.
You got to draft it, and you got to draft first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And really, to get another Lane Johnson, you got to draft first round in that.
You do.
In that position.
They might even move up. I mean, they might trade, say, 32.
If they do, I mean, look, because I think Bryce Huff. I know people are like, oh, you could trade Huff and 2 firsts and get Huff is going to get outright released this offseason.
Yeah, I don't think that was a loss. That trade was a loss.
Howie is to that point now where they will admit.
Isn't that crazy?
Mistake.
They didn't need Reddick or Huff to get to this point.
No, in fact, Reddick.
Isn't that mind blowing?
You know why Bourne was such a better move? Because Bourne does it all.
Yeah, well, he was a rusher that was moved to a middle linebacker position.
Bourne does it all. Where Reddick does only one thing.
Right.
And Vic Fangio was like, look, I need a guy that can drop back, that can cover, that can be all over the field, both sides of the field. If all you can do is just straight line to the quarterback, I don't need that.
I think they're just going to rush for and play coverage, and they're good enough to do it.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see a lot of plays where Mahomes is kind of, running around like he does, and he gets loose on some of those. But I also think some of those plays, they're going to spy him. Not with Bond, because I think Bond's also going to have to be mindful of the running backs out the backfield.
Bond's going to have
a tough assignment.
Lot of duties.
It's a tough assignment, but you got to spy. You got to spy Mahomes. You might even sometimes want to drop one of your DNs into a Joker type of role where he fakes the rush and dips out into the flat. Just to occupy that space so there's no dump off there. And then to the left. And then you force Mahomes to his weak side to the left. I mean, I think Fangio is going to... Look, Fangio doesn't have a ring. And he's one of the greatest coaches of our modern era.
Oh, he wants it.
He wants it. Jalen wants it. It's Saquon's birthday, record season. all the stars have aligned, in my opinion, for them to slay the dragon.
There we go. We'll see what Johnny Marks thinks. I see the blinking light.
Yes, sir.
That means it's time to hit the vet line. Johnny Marks coming up next.
Vet Alumni. And now, it's the Vet Line.
Why don't you answer your phone?
Joined now on the vet line by John Marks.
Yes,
of course, you can
sir.
catch him now on Philly on Fly Sports. Make sure you
Philly.
check him out. Obviously, John is one of our vet alumni, former VetLine guests.
And I like him on Fly. He's unfiltered. It's unfiltered, Johnny Marks.
Unfiltered Johnny Marks. Thanks for joining us, John.
What's up, guys? Happy Super Bowl
Yes,
Thursday.
sir.
Yeah, it's we're back again. Third Super Bowl in 8 seasons. The Birds with a chance to really make history and beat another GOAT in a rematch. I'll just be straight up with you. What happens on Sunday?
The Eagles are the better team. It doesn't mean the better team always wins, but the Eagles are a better team. They have the better roster.
Yeah.
So look at it this way, right? They were favored back in 2 years ago. They were favored in the game. I was looking through predictions earlier today, and I'm like, that's right. Like, more people, if you go on ESPN.com, like right now on ESPN.com, 67 of their reporters / personalities / Sports Center people, whatever, 67 ESPN people, they were asked who's going to win the game. And it was like 60-some% said the Chiefs.
Right.
62% said the Chiefs, 38% said the Eagles. So I'm like, all right, what was it 2 years ago? And I look back, and it was majority Eagles. It was like a similar Eagles prediction, right? Because they were favored in the game. This is a better team than that team. And I feel like that Chiefs team was better than this Chiefs team.
Absolutely.
Maybe their defense is better. All right, their defense is better this year. The Chiefs have a really good defense. The Eagles are significantly better. The Eagles defense was fugazi. They got to the quarterback, but that was about it. This Eagles defense is for real. And I just feel like the offense, although Jalen Hurts hasn't been playing as well throwing the football as he was at the tail end of that season, I think that's more because they don't really ask him to do that with Saquon Barkley and everything else they're doing. So, yeah, I think this is an Eagles win. This is these are the two best teams in football. If it's a close game, obviously you worry about Patrick Mahomes figuring out a way to win games. That's what they do.
Right.
But the Eagles are the better team, and I think you're going to see the better team win on Sunday.
I completely agree. We're on the same page. I think that, all things considered, on paper, like we said, they have to play the game. The Birds are clearly they have the advantage at many positions. Now, I'm going to shift my focus to the trenches because that's really why they have the advantage at many positions. What do you think they're going to do to neutralize Chris Jones, and are they able to do that enough to give Jalen the time he needs to throw when he has to?
Yeah, it's an excellent point because we always think of defensive ends. They get the majority of the sacks when you look at sack leaders, their ends, their edge rushers or whatever. But the push up the middle is so important, in particular with a guy like Jalen Hurts. If you remember back in the against the 49ers last year where they got thrashed after the game, Bosa had come out and said, if you pressure him up the middle and you don't let him escape up the middle, he's so worried about the pass rush, he's not looking downfield and he's all out of sorts, right? And that's what you saw. So even though the defensive tackle, they'll get sacks, but they're not. A lot of them aren't getting double-digit sacks. If you bring pressure up the middle, then he's got to bail out of the pocket. And we know Jalen, when he's under pressure, he's not. He will bail out of the pocket and he'll stop looking downfield. So, like, what do you do with Chris Jones? Do you double team him? Do you run away from him? Do you run right at him? I don't know, but the Chiefs have the same problem with Jalen Carter and with a lot of these guys on the Eagles defense. So pick your poison, run away from them, double team them, roll out to keep them away from you. Yeah, the Eagles have a good interior offensive line too. So Landon Dickerson and Mekhi Becton, they're big dudes. So, let's see what we got. They have a good defensive line. The Eagles have a great offensive line. Let's go. Line them up and see what we got.
Yeah, it's strength on strength. Now, one thing that is a little bit of a concern from me on the outside is Devontae Smith, limited participant again with a hamstring issue. Obviously a guy that relies on his speed from the New Orleans area, going home. Tends to light the Chiefs up. 110 yards per game in 2 contests, 13 catches, 17 yards per catch. Yeah. What is your level of concern seeing that LP on the practice report and hamstring next to his name?
I don't really know how serious it is or whatever. I mean, it's something because he's limited and he's and they're saying that he has a hamstring thing. So look at that third game that Devontae has against the Chiefs, because you're looking at the 2 regular season games. In the Super Bowl, he had a big game too.
Yeah,
I think he has 20 catches in 3 games and over 300 yards. Devontae it's the speed, it's the hands, it's the body control, it's the knack for getting open. It's the routes, the crisp routes that he runs. So, if you ask me about Landon Dickerson or Cam Jurgens, right? Like, are you concerned about them? Well, like, they're going to play. I did an interview earlier today with some out-of-state people, and they're like, well, do you think they're going to play? Dude, you'd have to have their leg cut off for them not to play in the Super Bowl, right?
I know.
Yeah. But when you have the flashback of Landon Dickerson gimping around in that NFC Championship game, who the hell knows what happens when the game starts? I mean, does he finish the game, right? I have no idea how injured he is. He's going to start. So I don't know how bad the hamstring is. I don't know how bad the knee is with A.J. Brown. But for the most part, I feel pretty good where the Eagles are health-wise. They're not going to miss anybody at least to start the game.
Yeah, and nobody's 100% right now anyway. When you think about it, a whole season plus a couple playoff games. It's a tough one when you got guys that are coming in banged up. But they're just, as a unit, they're stronger. They're just stronger.
I think so, too. Going back to the defense, the Chiefs' defense, they've gone 18 straight playoff games without giving up 100 yards to a rusher. They're going to try to stop Saquon at all costs. How can they do it?
The million-dollar question.
Yeah, how can they do
it? Get penetration up the gut and make them bounce it outside. I mean, listen, I don't know. You can put 9 guys against them, and if that's what you're going to do, then that's what you're going to do. If you're going to dare Jalen Hurts to beat you with his arm, then that's what you're going to do. I'm just telling you, the Eagles have it. Jalen Hurts can throw the ball if he wants and they need to throw the ball.
Yes.
I would look out for Dallas Goedert in this game.
Yes,
to be a guy that has a big game, a bigger game than he normally will have because they don't use him as much as they probably should. So if you're going to sell out to stop Saquon Barkley, then the Eagles are good. I mean, the Eagles got to expect that that's one thing that they may try to do. I still would try to run the ball, but just that they're not going to be able to win just by stopping Saquon Barkley because the Eagles have something else for them.
Yeah,
I agree with
especially on the outside. I mean, we were talking about this earlier. If you want to put 8 in the box, go ahead. Right. You have single coverage on 2 of the best wideouts in the game.
I haven't seen better defenses be able to contain him properly.
Yeah. I would say the Packers' defense was pretty formidable going into that game, and they had trouble.
Yeah,
and that was in relatively clear conditions.
Yeah.
And
so if I could add to that, if you go back to that 4th down that they converted on. At the 45-yard line, they were only up 14-12 in the NFC Championship game.
That's the key game. That's the key play in the game.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, without hesitation, without thinking about it, he threw the ball up to A.J. Brown one-on-one.
Yeah.
That was a great throw. A.J. didn't have to fight for it. But you know what? Dude, you have A.J. freaking Brown on your team. You get a one-on-one. Perfect. I'll take my chances with A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Right. Don't be hesitant to put the ball up. I know you don't want to turn the ball over, and that's been the formula for winning. But they need a couple big plays, right? I think they need a big play or 2 in the passing game to win it.
Early,
so if they're gonna take Saquon away from you, then you know what? You're gonna need to make some plays downfield.
Yeah,
I agree.
They're capable of it. I mean, they've shown that they can do that if they need to.
Absolutely.
Look at the Steelers game. Where Jalen had almost 300 yards passing. That's what y'all wanted to see,
That's what you had to do to beat the Steelers.
Right, exactly. And that's a better defense than Kansas City.
I think so. I mean, I don't know what I'm missing here. I'm looking at Kansas City every week, and I'm like, I'm not seeing this special team.
So the one thing that does concern me, and it's how Kansas City would win the game, is one big stop on defense. one created turnover on defense.
Yeah.
The same thing as 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The friggin' two mistakes the Eagles made in the game, or maybe they made another one, but it was the scoop and score on the Jalen sack and the punt return that they allowed to Kadarius Toney.
Yes.
Backbreakers. Other than that, they played almost a perfect game, right? So the one thing that I did take note of in the Washington game and in the Rams game too, when they did blitz, they were effective and they got the Jalen Hurts. If you think about, I think it was the Rams game, they had the ball twice in field goal range, and they got pinned back and they got taken out of field goal range because of sacks.
Yeah.
So if you watch that Buffalo game, the final play where Josh Allen somehow even got a throw off, but that was a corner blitz on the short side of the field. So Spagnuolo, and he disguised it. You would have never known he was coming, and the corner did a great job to not lead on that he was blitzing. But, man, they didn't see it coming. So you worry about Spagnuolo, because here's what I would do if I was Spagnuolo. I would blitz Jalen. I would blitz the Eagles on almost every down.
Yeah.
I would do run blitzes, and I would send blitzes from all different angles and up the gut. Because, like, listen, you're going to have to beat us. You're going to have to beat us, and we're gonna do what we do. You guys are going to have to do what you do. So, like, they're going to force the issue. You can't turn the ball over, and, like, turning the ball over and Spagnuolo's going to try to do it. That's the formula for how you lose this game.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to pick it up, and there's got to be quick outlets for Jalen. You know, always have someone in the flat or on a shallow cross. You almost have to do that.
And that should be Dallas Goedert in this game.
It should be. It should be. I mean, even give Calcaterra a few snaps, you know, because they won't be thinking he's going to get the ball. It's going to be a battle of attrition, and turnovers, I think, truly will determine the game, like it always does. I mean, it's like obvious. It's stating the obvious, but it's crucial.
Yeah. I agree with that. Let's flip over to the Eagles defense. Zach Ertz had a beast game in that NFC Championship. Andy's got to be looking at that tape going, that's what we're doing with Travis. We got to get Travis out there in those looks. How do you stop or even contain Travis Kelce in this game after watching Ertz do what he did?
Well, this is a question I would ask Ike, and I would say, Ike, how do you stop the tight end? And here's what we would say: you play bracket coverage.
Yes.
You get a guy in front of him, you get a guy in back of him, and you make him work. And all the good tight ends, all the good receivers, they have a way for finding space and be able to find that soft spot in the defense, and then take it from there. And Kelsey's no different. But like, listen, you got to worry about Worthy with gadget plays, with end arounds, with wheel routes and things like that, because if he gets it, he can make a big play. He's not going to be a high volume guy. So the receivers don't scare you in general. You're just worried about the big plays and getting one or two big plays. I think with Kelce, like, I'm okay if he has over 100 yards. Zach Ertz had 11 catches? He had over 100 yards. He was great. I feel like every third down he was getting it. But, like, the Eagles ended up winning the game. So I think Kelsey's going to get his. As long as there's no big plays and they're not killing you with long drives and third downs where you can't get off the field, I think you're okay. Travis Kelce's a Hall of Famer. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to get it. I don't think he can stop it, but you just have to try to limit it. And, again, third down's the most important time. He can't be catching first downs every third down. They'll kill you.
Yeah, you got to get off the field. That first drive against Washington, I was pulling my hair out, man, because they got the stops on third down, and they're letting up 4th and 5. Now, Reed is in his own territory, is not going for a fourth down in the Super Bowl. He's going to play it smart, because he's also lost too many big games to want to lose another big game. We forget that.
Yeah.
So Marks, give me a score. I'm going 36-27 Birds. Where are you at?
Oh man, I'm not doing the field goal thing because it feels like everybody's doing that. The WIP morning show, I didn't hear it, but I saw their Twitter question. They asked, who would you rather have on the field? The Eagles losing and the offense on the field to win the game, or the Eagles leading and Kansas City with the ball trying to drive down? The last thing I want is Pat Mahomes with the ball if they're behind.
Yeah.
And driving down to try to tie the game. That's the last thing that I want. You cannot have that. So you got to have a little bit of distance. I actually think the number that was coming to my mind here was 31-24. Okay. And that's a touchdown win.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like the more points that are scored, the better chance of the Eagles winning. I don't think the Chiefs, like you look at 2 years ago, it was 38-35. I can't see them both teams playing in the 30s.
No.
I just don't think Kansas City has an explosive enough offense. They want to control the ball. They want to make it an ugly game. They want Kareem Hunt running the ball 15 times for 60 yards, right? They want to limit possessions. They don't want Saquon Barkley and the Eagles getting 7-8 minute drives. And I think that the best case for the Chiefs winning the game is if it's a lower scoring game and it's an ugly game and they get a turnover or two.
Yeah, I mean, they only average.
The Eagles are the better team. The Eagles are the better team, and they're going to do what they do. And, so I was also thinking about this, right? Like, we talk about Saquon Barkley, and we can talk about the defense and everything else. Reality is Jalen Hurts is going to have to make a couple plays to win this. And if he turns the ball over, whether it's a strip sack or it's a fumble or he throws an interception, that could be the difference between winning or losing. Jalen Hurts he doesn't need to go outside of what he does or outside of what he does of the offense. But he can't turn the ball over, and he needs to make a couple of big plays. And I believe Jalen Hurts can do that. So I got a 7-point win. Let's do 31-24. Birds.
I love it. I love it for sure. You know, the Chiefs only scored 22.7 points per game this season. I mean, they eked out, I think it was something like 11 or 12 of their wins, including the postseason, were 3 points or less. That's just, and even against bad teams like the Las Vegas Raiders, and going to overtime with the Carolina Panthers.
And had it not been for that what was that false start or whatever on the Raiders, that might have been a loss.
That's another questionable.
They had a blocked field goal to win a game.
Right.
Against Denver, I think. No, normally teams that win close games like that and win with a blocked field goal, like Minnesota. Minnesota won a lot of close games this year. They're total fugazi. They're frauds. Right.
Absolutely.
I give their head coach credit. I think they have a good defense. They're a good team, but they're not the team that the record indicated, right? Kansas City actually is, but they win ugly. Right? They know how to win these close, ugly games. Yeah. And when you get to the playoffs, that's important, right? Like the Bills very easily could or should have won that game, and they didn't. Pat Mahomes knows how to finish in the fourth quarter. So don't give them the opportunity to finish in the fourth quarter. Put pressure on them to where they're playing from behind.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do the Birds win their second Super Bowl? I think yes. Johnny Marks thinks yes.
I think yes.
You think yes. But it's funny, John. All these national pundits on all, KC, because I think they're more so protecting the narrative they've been pushing all year. It's more of a pride pick to try to be right finally about the Eagles when they have been wrong all season. But I like it though.
Hey, Chris Sims picked the Eagles to win.
Well,
I want him out of here. No. I saw it. And listen, I'm happy that Chris Sims is trying to now. I don't know if he's being honest or he's just tired of taking crap from Eagles fans, or he looks at how good this team is. But I love the fact, because you know what I'm doing if I'm like Nick Sirianni? I'm finding every prediction. I saw something floating around on Twitter today where everybody, I think it was on an ESPN show, had Kansas City winning. I saw the screenshot of it. Yeah. If I'm Nick Sirianni, I'm finding ESPN.com where 62% of the people picked the Chiefs to win. I'm finding that screenshot the night before the game or on Friday night or whatever. I'm coming up with a montage, a collage, a slideshow of nobody thinks we can win. It's us against the world.
I love it.
That's how you motivate the guys. So I think they'll do something like that. And I love the fact that everybody's – you're right, because everybody is – at this point, why not just ride it out? Why not just ride out the Eagles can't win because they can't throw the ball well enough and they're not good enough? Ride it out, and the Eagles win the Super Bowl and stay on that side of the street.
Phenomenal. Exactly. It's going to be a wonderful Monday morning. Can feel it.
I love it.
Can feel it.
Moving fast forward a little bit, whether win or lose. Myles Garrett, you want him or no?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a great player. I don't think there's anybody disputing that. I think I'm not going to say silly because you never know with Howie Roseman.
Right.
But the Eagles have the number one defense. They've rebuilt this defense. Who are the best? They're the best players on the defense. They're young secondary,
Yes.
and they're young offensive linemen, right? They're the
Yes.
best players on the defense. Zach Ball was a great signing. That's a Howie Simon. That's a great signing.
Yeah.
So if you trade for Myles Garrett, you're giving up 2 1s. You're giving up another draft pick. Maybe you're giving up a player, and then at some point he's going to get new money, and he's going to make $35 to $40 million a year. So even though the salary cap is total baloney, and you can just kick the can down the road, it doesn't really matter. Like at some point, you can't pay everybody that kind of money.
Yeah.
So for the draft picks alone, you're in the Super Bowl and you have the top defense. You're going to need to re-sign these young players. Jalen Carter is going to be expensive. I don't know if they're going to want to re-sign Jordan Davis for the number of snaps he's playing, but Nolan Smith looks like a stud. So I am worried about the depth at defensive end. Listen, Josh Sweat's a free agent, and I guess the case can be made if he's going to make $15, $18 million a year. Why not pay Myles Garrett $35 million a year? I just think the price is going to be very high to get him, and I wouldn't give up all those draft picks for a team that's already in the window of winning right now.
Yeah, that's reasonable. And they've been drafting so well. If 2 more first-round picks, you could get 2 more Coops and Quignons, for example, or whatever, whatever the position is.
Or another edge rusher.
There you have it, folks. John Marks on the Vet Line. Check him out on Fly Sports, of course. Philly's the name of the show.
Yeah.
John, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us Super Bowl week, and hopefully we're connecting at a parade relatively soon.
Absolutely. Let me know, guys. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Yes, sir.
That's Johnny Marks from the Fly Network, Philly. Look, this is it.
I mean, it's
this
do or
is
die.
it.
We've been talking all season about this Birds team, and we were, kind of flabbergasted as they went through this stretch where they knocked off Baltimore seemingly easily. They knocked off Pittsburgh pretty easily.
It was a flabbergasting 10 straight.
It was, and if you take away the Washington loss, Jalen is 15-0 in his last 15 started and finished, including the playoffs.
God.
I mean, you just won 3 home playoff games, all of them in remarkable fashion in some form or another. Your all-world running back is hitting home runs every week, and this defense they're about to face is not the best defense they played this year.
Right.
I would probably go Baltimore is probably the best defense they played this year.
Yeah.
On paper. So I really feel like I'm on point with a 9-point Birds win. Johnny Marks has it a 7-point Birds win. Where are you at, Tek?
I'm at 34-27, so
okay,
it's
similar to
also,
what I got.
It's a touchdown.
Yeah.
But, look.
Chiefs might not even get to 27. I have 27. They might not even get to the 27.
They may not. They're
going to be kicking some field goals.
I think so.
I think our defense, and one thing, I'll leave our listeners with this. Mahomes, in the red zone of his career, 62% touchdown rate. Against Fangio in his career, even though he's 8-0, as Fangio had bad offenses going, 37%.
Oh.
Against Fangio defenses.
Well, that's
field
interesting.
goals. That means field goals.
If
you kick field goals, then the Birds are winning the Super Bowl.
Got to get a cushion in this one. It's not going to be easy in the Big Easy.
No, it's not going to be easy in the Big Easy. The most Super Bowls ever played in New Orleans.
Yes.
And right now, believe it or not, I tracked it. This is the 11th one. NFC's 1-5, AFC's 1-5.
All I can say is, hopefully, we will not see you next week because there will be a parade down Broad Street.
Man.
Hopefully that is the case because I will be at the parade.
Well, I'm glad. You're going to get out the house?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'll
For
be
this,
there. I'll be
you're
there
going to the parade?
I'll be there.
Yeah, we're going to have to go. We're going to meet up and we're going to have to go to the parade.
We'll be at the parade.
Yeah, we will be at the parade. There needs to be a parade.
Please.
There it is. This is it. This is what it all comes down to. Go Birds!
Vet Alumni.